if I ask a question that y'all don't like, don't jump on me, it's just somebody wrote down. Now, outside of that, this is a very serious event. One of these three men are going to represent you in the Congress of the United States. The 7th district is a Republican district, and the people of that district want to change. They want to see this government change, and one of these individuals will represent your interest in the fall. I say that to say that this is very serious, and let's conduct ourselves in a serious manner. And as we hear where each one of these candidates would carry our country. My understanding that each candidate will have 2 minutes, beginning with Mr. Crow, who won. You won tonight. You won the drawing. Senator Rouser will be second. Mr. Pantano, and I have asked my friends from Brunswick County to make sure I did not mispronounce your name. If I do, it's because people from Brunswick County told me how to pronounce it. And but yeah, there's a lot of folks from Brunswick County here, and we're glad and proud to have them all here. After that, we will have questions up to about 8:15, and the way that'll work, I will address in a random fashion these candidates. First one that is asked a question will get 2 minutes to respond. Timekeepers over here, and then you've got that will mean you got what, 15 seconds. The other one means stop. Now I don't know who's going to enforce the stop, but please stop when you see that one. The other 2 candidates will have 1 minute to respond to that, and then you'll obviously get your 2-minute question at the same time. My understanding that the ladies in the back have already assembled some questions from the audience. Do we have those for these? Okay. It's a shame Leo Daughtry's not here. He always says for me to stand up. That's when I'm standing up. I want to recognize, if I may, before I call on the candidates, any family members that may be here. Do you have any family members with you?
I have a big family, and they're all wearing Pantano shirts.
Yeah. I met most of them.
Soon that'll be all of you. Thank you.
Senator Rouser, I do know your grandmother from 4 Oaks and father's here, and I don't know who else is here. And I asked Mr. Crow, and he said his family was back at home as well. But anyway, I know it's a burden on all of his family what you're going through. And anyway, I appreciate what they've done to allow you to be part of the process. All right, opening statements. Mr. Crow, you're first.
Thank you. Ellen Brown, March the 22nd, posted an article entitled Wall Street Confidence Trick, How Interest Rate Swaps Are Bankrupting Local Governments. In it, she explains Goldman convinced local governments, hospitals, etc., which banksters call Muppets, that they will lower their interest cost if they enter into interest rate swaps with banksters. It was a confidence scheme. Goldman interest rate swap hustle has been compared to payday loans. Banksters make 4 to 6%. Governments paid 0.1%. Banksters get paid 50 times more than they pay local governments. August 2001, North Carolina paid $59.8 million to get out some of its interest rate swap loans. New Hanover County hospitals made adjustable rate mortgages loans in the early 2000s, which I complained. Yawn. How to stop the mess. Get laws passed stating governments can get out of Goldman payday loans without penalty. Start by telling New York banksters, thanks for the loans, we're not paying a dime more unless you waive the penalty. Pick $100 million or so of North Carolina's worst collateralized loans and stop paying. Every time the banksters get mad, call the media. Why haven't politicians stopped Goldman's interest rate swap steal taxpayer money confidence trick? Money in politics. Bankster contributors are telling their Muppets to give Goldman their free ride in the wagon. If you want a person in Washington who's dealt with banksters and will work to stop them, please vote for me, Randy Crow.
Senator
Thank you, Mayor Parker. First, let me thank the Johnston County Republican Party for hosting this forum. And I'd also like to thank one of my opponents, Lario Pantano, for his service to this country in not only one war, but in 2 wars. Let's give him a round. As most all of you know, I represent Johnston County and Wayne County in the North Carolina Senate. I have some of my family here and many of my extended family here. And you know, when I serve in the state Senate, I think about 2 groups of people. I think about the small businessman that's trying to make it in spite of the government. I think about the single mom who's trying to raise her kids, working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. You know, there were some ratings that came out today that listed me as among the top 10 most effective lawmakers in Raleigh. And I think part of that is because of those 2 groups of individuals that I think about on a daily basis when I'm representing Johnston County and Wayne County in the state Senate. You know, this past legislative session, we did some historic things. We balanced the budget without raising taxes. In fact, we cut taxes. We cut spending. I led the effort to go after the liberal bureaucracies in Raleigh, where I focused hard on cutting the red tape and the bureaucratic nightmare that small businesses have to go through. In fact, we passed a monumental regulatory reform bill that's going to be of great service to business and industry in this state, helping to create a better business climate. I led the fight against Obamacare, the individual mandate in the state Senate. All those things I have a proven strong track record. And if we can do a quarter of those things in Washington, we'll turn this economy around and this country around very quickly. Thank you.
Mr. Pantano.
I'm Lario Pantano. Lario is the Italian version of Hillary. My parents had a sense of humor. I'm like a boy named Sue, and I've been fighting my whole life. My family actually can't be here tonight because my wife is taking care of my 2 young boys, 7 and 9. They just started school today after a wonderful Easter break, so you'll have to forgive that. My mother lives in Pender County, but you know, with redistricting, the same reason that I'm here tonight, she actually can't vote for me. So she's a little bit upset about that, but we'll sort that out later. The bottom line, friends, is I would like to turn this around to all of you, since you're going to be asking questions. How many of you think the economy and jobs is the #1 issue facing our federal government right now? Would you raise your hands? The economy and jobs. How many of you think that gas prices and energy prices are probably one of the top drivers of the economy? Would you raise your hands? How many of you then, by extension, I'm not going to embarrass you and ask you to raise your hands, but how many of you think that somebody who spent time in the private sector dealing in the global energy markets with gasoline, heating oil, natural gas, and trading electricity, that might be a good professional background to be bringing to Washington? Instead of a lifetime or a career spent in politics, time spent in the private sector. How many of you think that might be a good idea? I want you to think about that. Don't want to embarrass you with shows of hands, but I know that right now all of us feel like we need a little bit more common sense in Washington. Friends, I would ask that you take a look at one of these cards. I've got them in the back. My platform is about 4 things. It's a pro-growth agenda, growing the size of our private sector economy by reducing government and regulation, repealing Obamacare, repealing Dodd-Frank, repealing Sarbanes-Oxley, so that the private sector can grow. I believe that energy independence would help our economy start moving again. Protecting our homeland by securing our borders, preserving conservative values, and lastly, principled leadership, which includes term limits. And tonight we'll talk about why that's so important. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Okay, we'll begin the questioning to my right, Mr. Crow. First question that we have from the audience: what do you think the next U.S. president should do about Afghanistan?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of interesting things going on right now. First of all, we're chomping at the bit to nuke Iran, and then some people say, well, we need to jump out of Afghanistan.